And item number 4, approval of the agenda.
I have a minor correction, maybe titled item 15, report on the landscape committee, supposed to be me, not referred to.
Okay, change that to Jim Tongue on 15.
Jim, I would like to request that we move 5073 from the consent calendar for further discussion.
Okay, well, let's put that over to the M&C, and we'll handle it at the M&C area.
Fine.
If I might, because I'm not going to be here at that particular thing, I would like to be able to, at a point in time, to discuss or say what my feelings are, especially since we've just received a letter saying that the person who approved it before has rescinded their action, so we now have 2 absolutely against it. So, but I won't be able to speak. I won't be here.
Got it, Ray. Thank you.
Thank you.
Was there a motion to approve the agenda, change the agenda? Bert?
Item 16 is not Rosemary, it will be I that will present M&C.
You what?
Item 16 is not Rosemary presenting, it will be I.
Okay. 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 Chairman's report. Yesterday, I got just a few things here, but yesterday we had a really good meeting for a couple of hours with concerning solar energy that we're going to be putting in here on some top of 3-story buildings. And the contractor made a really wonderful presentation. All the members there accepted it. In 2 weeks, the contractor will come back with specific design information and contractual information to continue the process of moving forward here. So it's really looking good. Second item, we're just starting and getting heavily involved in our budget for next fiscal year, 2017. This is the time of the year we do it each year. With the new management structure we have here, there's going to be somewhat of a change in the process, and so we'll see how that goes. Concerning the Freshly Stone lawsuit, in case someone has asked me and has asked some of the other directors, and the third board's answer is that we are going to do nothing at the present time and just keep our eyes open and continue on and see what happens. In the committees today, we're going to have some very interesting things on finance. There's going to be financial qualifications. We're making a change to that. In the M&C, there's going to be an architectural and alterations subcommittee or little committee set up that will take away a portion of the M&C work, and that's going to cause the M&C meetings and activities to be spread out a little bit. So that should be real well. So anyway, we'll be talking about that and making a decision on that shortly. That concludes my comments here. Okay, number 6, approval of the minutes. Is there a motion for that?
I so moved.
Okay, second?
Yeah.
Is any discussion?
Yes, as amended.
Any discussion? Okay.
You have to please announce that I will be going forward with mine rather than at the noted area, because I have to leave, as you well know. In other words, I will be advancing. Thank you.
No problem, Ray. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand, please. It's unanimous. Okay, consent calendar. Is there a motion on that? As amended? As amended, motion for that? Okay, second? Okay, any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. That's unanimous, thank you. Okay, item 8. This is the time of our agenda that we get an update from VMS. So Director Dwaileebe, would you please come up and give your, morning, Donna.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm having this report for
Now it is.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. I'm giving this report for Dennis O'Connor, another VMS director who was scheduled to do this today and he wasn't able to. So he's written the report and I'm delivering it. So I'm just the messenger, don't shoot me. Okay. Prepared by Dennis O'Connor. Top management staffing is almost complete. Shortly, and the first time since the inception of VMS, all operating divisions will be headed by permanent, full-time managers. Interviews were held last week for the controller and the director of recreation and special events positions. Third directors, Wei Ming Tao and Rosemarie Dickens, participated on the interview panels. It is easy to see that the quality of the managers leading the VMS effort far exceeds anything that we have had in the past. This is a big step forward. Our first strategic plan. The VMS board and VMS division directors have developed Laguna Woods Village first strategic plan. The VMS board established the first stage goals and objectives. This was followed by a meeting with VMS division directors, and the earlier work was made more specific. In the end, there are approximately 80 objectives. We have tasked one or more staff persons to complete each objective. Completion dates have been established. This was a major undertaking and could not have been completed without tremendous contribution of community manager Lori Moss, yay Lori. The board will review the plan tomorrow morning, that's at our meeting, and finalize and make public in August, early in August. Personnel issues. The VMS board and staff have been busy with developing personnel policies. New employee handbooks are nearing completion and are under final review by the VMS board. We have contracted with PayScale to provide us with a compensation survey. Approximately 100 classifications will be evaluated. This is important for the VMS board since formerly the PCM information was not available to us. Finally, VMS employee medical insurance is being evaluated. While PCM used an insurance broker to evaluate insurance alternatives, the broker was not available to the transition team. The best that the transition team could do was to extend our agreement with our previous and existing insurer. There was no time to shop for insurance. This year we have contracted with a well-known brokerage firm, Hub International, and we expect to get a number of bids. As is well known, medical costs and medical insurance rates have been increasing, and we need to see how we can keep costs under control while providing medical coverage for one of our most important assets, and that's our employees. Last week, the GRF Finance Committee interviewed firms for general liability and workmen's compensation insurance. GRF Capital Plan. VMS staff is in the final stages of putting this plan together, and it will be presented on July 25th. Requests for VMS documents. The VMS board recently has received several requests for VMS documents, specifically agendas, minutes, and management agreements. The VMS board and management have absolutely no objections to any of its documents being made available to our owners. All of our documents are forwarded to our member boards, United, Third, and GRF, and these documents should be obtained from member boards. This is simply a procedural issue. All documents are available. Our CEO and community manager, Lori Moss, continue to get positive feedback from residents on customer service and responsiveness. And I want to just add a little side thing on my own. You know, Brad came in February, our manager, our CEO, and moved into the corner office, which everybody, you know, wants the large corner office, right? That's the top guy gets the large corner office. Well, Brad moved into the large corner office, immediately said, I don't like this big office. Space is wasted here. I can't use all this space. So he immediately started making plans to move himself out of the large corner office with all the views, down the hall to where the smaller office is, where everybody else is sitting, and turned his big corner office into a conference room that can be used by many of us. So that's the kind of a guy we have running the show here. Okay.
Thank you, Donna. Yeah, I sort of had my eye on that corner office up there for a Third Mutual conference room, but it didn't work out too well. Okay, item 9, report of the CEO. Brad?
Well, thank you very much. As part of the transition, we formed a new department called General Services, and of course, we didn't have a General Services Director, and so we've been on the hunt. And this position has fleet and transit, custodial, streets and sidewalks, central services, waste management, and a bunch of other stuff. It's really a collection of very important functions for our community. And so we conducted what some may term an international search, high and low, and we ended up, oddly enough, finding somebody right down the road in Costa Mesa. Who would have guessed? And so we're lucky to have a gentleman who's been a city engineer, who's been a public works director, who's run public services in a variety of capacities, including major construction, facilities, management, you name it, he's done it. And we're very, very honored and pleased to have as our new General Services Director, Ernesto Munoz. Ernesto?
Thank you, CEO Hudson. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited for the opportunity. As CEO Hudson mentioned, I have over 30 years of experience in the engineering and management field. I built millions upon millions of dollars of infrastructure. I managed transportation. I've managed purchasing. I've managed construction management sections, traffic engineering, name it. I've been involved in just about every facet of the public works arena. And so I hope to bring that experience with me here and be able to make a difference and move forward some of your initiatives through CEO Hudson. So it's a pleasure to be here, and it's good to meet you all.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Yesterday, when Ernesto got here, I shared some of the board's concerns about our transportation system, the transit system, and how it's functioning, and I had sort of a skeleton plan of how we might begin to move to a system that is more customer responsive and cost effective. And so I gave him that skeleton, and he put some meat on those bones and took it to mobility yesterday, and it was unanimously approved. So I want to say we are moving in a very, very good trajectory with respect to our transit system, making it more responsive and cost effective for our residents. So I'm very, very proud of you for doing that. Thank you, Ernesto. As Donna said, we're moving forward on the budget. I'm very happy with where we're at right now. It's I think if you look at virtually every area, services have been increased. A lot of this is due to, I think, better supervision and to some efficiencies. There are many more efficiencies to be attained, but we're putting some together already. I anticipate assessments, though, and the board has to do its job, but I think they'll be fairly flat. I'm not seeing any big changes for our residents, other than much better service than you've become accustomed to. So I'm pleased with that. We are Moving on, I feel the need just to explain this one more time, because the fitness center is relocating in this building, and some folks have had concerns. We're putting a flyer together to give out to customers so they understand when and what and why. But there's so many reasons why we're moving that. And I'll start with maybe the most obvious, is that we were going to create a big open space downstairs to put the call center in. And as we were doing that planning, we said, wow, really? If we're going to have two big open spaces, maybe the fitness center should be on the bottom floor. And there are a number of reasons for that. First and foremost, in my mind, is emergency response. If somebody was to have an issue on the third floor with elevators and traffic, and it just wouldn't be very, very good for that. Secondly, this building wasn't really designed to have a bunch of heavy equipment and people jumping up and down on the floors on the third floor. It's just structurally not designed that way. And then you throw on top of that the excessive use on the elevators, gym users and and office users sharing restrooms. The noise that you get on the second floor is virtually unbearable when people are really going at it. And there are just so many reasons. And the fact of the matter is, it's not really costing residents anymore, because we were going to create a big open space anyway on the first floor. We were going to have to move all that equipment anyway because the flooring is worn out on the third floor. It was going to have to be replaced. So it's really, I wouldn't call it a freebie, that would be going too far, but it really is a very cost-effective way of putting the call center where it belongs, putting the gym where it belongs, at really no additional expense than if you would have put the call center downstairs. And so I think it's a win-win. Not to criticize previous efforts, but putting a fitness center on the third floor of an office building is not a very good idea. We'll just leave it at that. So I think it's a great win-win, and I look forward to actually, that project is moving forward, and you're going to see over the next coming weeks various movements of functions, and particularly the Disaster Preparedness Office needs to move, Recreation's moving, others are moving.
I have a question, Brad. And wait, first of all, you didn't say about how many people riding in the elevator that would change, and people getting off on the wrong floor because they get off at 2, so that's going to be a big change. But people are asking, will the gym be closed at all while this happens? I mean, are you going to do it overnight on Sunday night, or what? Do you have any more information on
I
that?
anticipate that there will not be any significant closure, because you're going to build, or it's not much building really, it's more demolition, demolish, put in the, TVs and flooring and the sort of thing you need to do, and then one day the equipment will be downstairs and not upstairs. The other benefit I didn't mention is by having a separate entrance and being downstairs, the gym can have its own distinct hours, and it doesn't require the rest of the building to be secured if they want to start earlier or go later, or have special programming. The entire building wouldn't necessarily have to be staffed at a high security level, because they'll have their own entrance. So there's a lot of advantages, not any disadvantages that I've come up with so far. We've found space to relocate those that need to be relocated. So I think it's a very positive effort. I wanted to just hit on a couple of other things very quickly. We're finalizing review of the new customer relationship management and work order entry system. And so we anticipate in the coming weeks coming to GRF with some ideas about the type of system, potential vendors to replace the legacy Stellar system, which is programmed in multiple languages, none of which anybody who works here knows anymore, and is really kind of a homemade stew of technology that we would like to replace with something that's much more customer friendly, much more intuitive, that is optimized for mobile services in the field. That's the way business is done now. Just like when UPS shows up at your house with your package, you can track your package, they show up, you sign for it, they push a button, they're on to the next one. And that's the way our customer service needs to work, particularly in property services, maintenance, some of those things, quick and fast and reliable. So I'm anticipating coming forward with that. As Donna said, we're finalizing the GRF capital plan recommendations, and it's pretty heavily focused on major maintenance projects. Things that, I'm going to say this politely, where we have maximized the useful life of many finishes, fixtures and furnishings, and we need to update them. And so we've got a lot of projects like that, focusing on clubhouses, on gatehouses, on other things that are just need attention. And so that you'll see that. The other focus is really on technology and a number of different systems and operations that are going to be improved. Lastly, I want to talk a little bit, because this is just happening right now, and I know, I think Tim, our security director, unveiled this maybe a little bit over the last couple days, and I've been talking about it for a while, is the merger of compliance into security. And what a huge change that is going to be for us, to not have that disconnect between those who are responsible for citing rules violations and those who are trying to gain compliance. I think we've separated those duties too far. And many times, the best compliance happens in the field with the person who actually sees the violation, who has face-to-face contact with the resident, and can work those things out. And so I think it's going to be a huge improvement. The ultimate goal, really, and Tim will talk about this more, is having less resources dedicated to a fixed post, i.e. the gates, and more resources dedicated in the field, doing inspections, looking for problems, solving neighborhood issues. Those are the things that we should be doing that we're really not doing as much as we should. So big change. You'll be hearing a lot about it. I know Chief Moy will be out talking to the community and sharing his vision for security, and obviously working with the various board members who are intimately involved in security. But I think it's a big positive. And lastly, Lori would not forgive me if I didn't give the hypnotist one last pitch here. So it's Friday. Steve Boehner, he's a very, very scary guy. Many times people in the audience have become hypnotized. So I say, take your wife to the hypnotist show, let him put the mojo out there, and we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a great show. I've seen Steve Boehner many times. He's very entertaining, and if any residents would like to get hypnotized, contact Lori Moss, our community manager. I'll bet we can arrange that. So thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
You could also come to me. I'm a registered hypnotherapist. It's okay. You can come to me if you
There we
want.
go.
What?
I'm a registered hypnotherapist.
Okay. At this time, the mutual residents may address the Board of Directors regarding any item not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the Board of Directors of Third Laguna Hills Mutual. There is a maximum time limit of 3 minutes per resident, and a resident may only address the Board once during this period. The Board reserves the right to limit the total amount of time allotted for the mutual resident comments in public forum. So one at a time. Well, there's Carol.
Good morning, and thank you to the board and to Mr. Hudson. Thank you so much, because at last we do have customer service.
Excuse me, Carol, name and manor number?
Oh, starting again, that's Carol Moore, 3399A. The board's responsibility, and I'm sure all of you are aware of that, you represent the community, and so your choices and votes are to make certain that you are looking out for everyone in the community, all parts of the community, which are in Third Mutual. If you were to enter Gate 7 and you look to your right, you would see this building, and then shortly thereafter, immediately, you will see the parking lot, you will see the tennis courts, and you will see homes that abut the tennis courts. there is a problem, and I'm told that there's some thought to moving the pickleball, and I play pickleball, but it's played with a hard ball on a hard paddle on a hard surface, and it is very noisy, so noisy that the paddle tennis people don't like us to play when they are playing, and they're right near us, so you can see it's pretty offensive. There's an issue with the people who live right up next to the tennis courts, as well as the Ayers Hotel, and as well as the tennis players. So please consider thoughtfully, and this is not a good choice. I can give you other examples. The other problem that I wanted to bring to your attention, most of us know that when we vote, that we bought into a corporation. We really aren't voting as we would in a general election. The vote is one man or one vote. And the reason for that is that you have an investment, so you don't want undue influence by somebody who might have a renter, 5 people living in their manor. They don't all get a vote. It's that manor that gets the vote. And I'm asking you to also consider this when you are placing people, pardon me, on boards. When you place a manor, that manor took a board, then that manor should not have spaces on other boards. Just as you have the one vote for voting for an election, a manor should represent one board. It's not in the bylaws because the CC&Rs were boilerplate. They were written in the 80s, I believe. So I'm asking you to put that in the bylaws of third, the bylaws of GRF, and also the bylaws of VMS High, because otherwise you have undue influence from one area. So please look at those 2 serious considerations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Joan Gramp, 372B. I am here to represent the Laguna Woods Foundation. I'm speaking at all the mutuals this month. And I just wanted to let you know in Third Mutual how we were founded. We were founded in 1997 when a resident was in the social services and noticed that the social worker was trying to help an individual who was financially challenged and reached into her own purse and pulled out some money to give her. So the observer then inquired, don't you have any resources to help villagers? And they said, no, we have very little. So that's how we got founded in 1997. And now, as you know, we send out 2 times a year, we have a campaign. We give interim assistance for people in need, like medications, money to help out in their dental or nursing care when they are short, utility bills, phone service, caregivers, and respite care, especially in those cases where one of the people has Alzheimer's. We also help with phone service because we feel that is very vital in emergency situations. And we help with respite care. They provide grocery and gas cards and taxi vouchers. And we have cases where individuals who have lived here for many years have seen prices go up and they have to choose between hearing aid, or food. And so we've helped in some of those cases. We also give substantially to Meals on Wheels and the adult daycare. We're managed by a board of directors, and we're all resident volunteers. We are not compensated. This is our time we spend to help the village. And social services identifies the individuals, and we help finance any aid they need. We do not know who these people are that we are helping, but we know that they are in need. So I want to encourage any of you in Third Mutual who know somebody who seems to be in need and hasn't reached out to phone, that they phone social services at 949-597-4267. Or if you see a neighbor that you think needs, you could also call social services. I was in there this morning and heard a call come in for somebody in need. It came to the foundation, but I transferred the call. So this is to help everybody in the village. My current role is as donations, so I'm very aware of all the Third Mutual addresses and the generosity of the villagers in Third Mutual. I want to clue you into another little service I provide, and that is when you send a donation, there's a place for a tribute. And so a lot of the people in the towers, for example, use this. They can't get out to buy a card, so they send a donation in and they put the address of the person that they like to send a birthday, memorial, congratulations, anniversary, whatever, and I write the card and I mail it out for them. So that's a service that I encourage you to take advantage of. So in closing, I want to thank you for making our spring campaign a big success, and thank all the clubs and organizations and every single individual.
Would you repeat your phone number again, please?
The phone number of social services is 949-597-4267.
Thank you very much.
Good day. My name is Franklin Smith, 5369 3D in Third Mutual. In 1620, before the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock, they first anchored off Cape Cod and had a meeting where a compact was signed that is now considered the predecessor to the United States Constitution. This compact gave birth to transparency in the politics of American culture today. The Pilgrims strove to build an open society bound by common interests and transparent social relations displayed in plain and modest civic bodies. Yet they recognized that human nature was inherently prideful, making people prone to rebel against the common good and pursue their self-interest. Thus, the whole body, the entire community, must constrain individual members' actions and behaviors. Those who refuse to abide by the rules set forth in the compact threaten the moral and social order of the entire community. Only by laying open all civic bodies and their behaviors to public scrutiny and disciplinary action could they and we fight tyranny in our society. Today, the entire Laguna Woods village community knows about the unlawful recall of Kathleen Freshley and Mary Stone that has cost the community hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees. Third Mutual members were subjected to the unlawful tyranny of a closed meeting where members were not allowed to witness or speak out against a recall. This crime was compounded by the unlawful GRF meeting orchestrated by Third Mutual Board. I now call for the resignations of Jim Matson and Rosemary De Lorenzo Dickens, who were the leaders of this shameful, unlawful recall, which resulted in the scrutiny and verdict of Orange County Superior Court Judge Robert J. Moss. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mark Sokolik. I'm a new resident in Laguna Woods. I'm on my 4th month. I bought a house, 3260.
The manor number?
Yeah, 3265C, San Amadeo. I'm on this maintenance and construction and had a request denied for a driveway. I hope I'm not out of order at this point asking the question, but I talked to Brad a couple minutes ago and he said I might be able to bring it to your attention. When I bought the house, the realtor and the seller both assured me that they would assist me. I have a car that I measured to be 60 inches wide, and my driveway is 120 inches. It leaves 30 inches on each side, and not only myself and my wife, but every truck that comes in, and I just brought a picture here that if I could pass it around, it'd be great, but we've made a new driveway out of our lawn, and I may have been asked for a little too much. I requested that both we fill in the area where we've driven over it, and then also possibly put in a circular driveway. And I've come to learn that circular driveways in Laguna Woods I think there's one. So what I'd like to do is modify my request and just say if I could just have a little more driveway so that we wouldn't use the grass as part of the driveway and destroy the look of our property.
Okay?
Did you have a question that you?
We'll talk with you as soon as everyone finishes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Maria Raima Montañez at 5519 3C. I have three small items. They're big to me, but three small items for you. We have a pond on the executive course, and it's between hole 2 and hole 9. It has been in terrible shape. It smells terrible, first of all. It has dead fishes in it, and I understood from a landscaping person that the aerator is broken. So that has been that way for a long time, so I would like to bring that to your attention. Number 2 is we have an enormous amount of ants on the sidewalk and then the edge of the lawn that is connecting to the sidewalks. Enormous amount. And third but not least, we have steel plates on the El Paseo del Lago East for at least over 6 months. This
That's my fault.
I'm sure the work was done by the water company, but they never finished. So we have it sort of barred, and cars have to pass by and all that, but they've been there for 6 months. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you very much.
At this time, we'll have item 11, director's responses to mutual resident comments. We'll start with Bert and come this way.
Carol, with regard to the noise at the proposed area for pickleball, at the MNC meeting at GRF yesterday, that issue was raised, okay? And there's a discussion about hiring an acoustic engineer to see what can be done to deal with that issue. The other thing, I'm not really aware of any case in the community where we've had a director serve on 2 boards.
No, it's the manner, a person.
Oh, 2 people.
The same manner.
Okay, gotcha. Know what you mean. Franklin, thank you for the history lesson. Is he here? I don't see him. Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay. As far as communications go and openness go, this board had initiated for the first time a communications committee, okay, a couple of years ago. And that has now led to things like the Breeze. And so in terms of enhancing transparency in the community, we have moved a long way in that direction. With regard to your request for a recall, you know, it's about time that we discontinued the conflict that has existed in this community. And I think with Jim's statement with regard to the fact that we will not pursue a recall again is an indication that we're ready. And I think it's about time that you should get ready. Marika, the golf course problem and the steel plate problem is GRF, not Third Mutual. We can't deal with it. Okay. With the ants, I think landscaping might be, since they're on the lawns and the sidewalks.
But that's still a GRF system. I can talk to Kurt about it.
What sidewalk? Who does that sidewalk? That is us. Doing the street sidewalk. That is.
Yeah? Okay. There you go.
So you, okay, well.
Thank you.
Dave?
No comment.
Bill?
No comment.
Wei Ming?
No comment.
Jim?
Well, I just have come, Marika, is your sidewalk you're talking about was ends. If it was sidewalk, that belongs to Third Mutual. So, okay, so I'll talk to our landscape.
Okay, Rosemary?
First, I'd like to address transparency. We had a meeting yesterday, actually the GRF communication meeting, and we talked about the difficulty that the board members have and committee members on just figuring out which meeting we're supposed to go to. We have meetings overlapping over time, and it's very confusing. And the basic thing is if it's happening to us, we would therefore be confusing the residents, because if we don't know where to go, the residents don't know where to go. The basic thing is, it is our responsibility to be transparent and list all of the meetings, because unless it is indicated as a closed meeting, residents are welcome to attend our ad hoc committee meetings, our, you name it, a meeting. So that was something that we talked about yesterday because we were getting very confused, and we are going to work on that right away so that we make ourselves even more transparent, so people could come to the Clubhouse 2 planning, the opening event committee meetings that some of you might not even know that we're having. So I think that that's really important, and we are really committed to transparency. I'd like to address very briefly what Franklin said as it relates to the recall. It's unfortunate that the Globe only publishes some letters, and we get some wonderful letters from our residents about our actions. The basic thing is Judge Moss said we failed to obey a GRF bylaw. We were told that we correctly followed civil code. So there is a bit of confusion still as to bylaw, civil code, et cetera. The basic thing is that we know that we acted correctly, and we worked very hard to bring us to work together. But we decided not to pursue this any further, not to do another recall, to let the community stay in peace. A lot of residents are saying that they think it's really unfortunate that this constantly was pursued, and they can't understand how 2 directors who were voted off by the majority of the corporate members still want to be there. Well, that's life. The thing is we intend to move forward working as a team and making this community a better place. So thank you very much.
Ray?
I would simply like to double with what Rosemarie said. In addition, it was also mentioned that the 2 people who were supposed to have been recalled quit rather than cause an action. They went ahead and resigned. And I'd be certainly absolutely against Rosemarie and Jim being recalled.
Bunny?
I just want to make a comment. I felt the recall was very necessary. Of course, that has been the 3rd position. I agree with the rest of the boards, Bert, Rosemary, that we want peace in this community. We don't want chaos. And in this past year, the mutuals have been working together. We work together with staff. I mean, it's been wonderful. And we want to keep that momentum up.
John?
No comment.
Bert?
I just want to echo what Bunny has said. I think it's time to let that issue go. I think it's time for this community to think about where we are now and where we want to be. We have a lot of problems facing the whole community that we and the other boards are trying to address. This community is 50 years old. There are a lot of infrastructure problems that we are aware of and we want to tackle. And I think we're getting good cooperation from our management company. We want to facilitate movement in that direction to have a really good program going forward. And the only way we can really do that is to stop fighting the battles of the past. Let's concentrate on where we are now and where we want to go. And I think that is the feeling of the 3rd board and why we acted and are acting the way we are. And I want to thank Franklin for coming before us. I haven't seen him for a long time, and I was really concerned that he was ill. So I'm glad to see that he's here, and we welcome his opinion, and we welcome everyone's opinion. And I will talk a little bit later about what we are doing as part of our communication committee to open up communication even more widely with the whole community.
Thank you, Bert. I just wanted to comment on one item at 3265. On our MNC bus tour, we took a real good look at that, and we thought the way you're coming down the little slope there in this congested area we might have a safety problem there, so that was the main thing. If you still want to do something maybe a little bit different, you can always come back and come over to us to fill out some paperwork with your design, and we'll take a look at it. Okay. And let's see, so let's continue on here. Item 12, unfinished business, we have none. And item 13, new business. Entertain motion to establish the Third Mutual Leasing Guidelines Ad Hoc Committee. Rosemary?
I move that we form this committee. Some wonderful points were brought up to us at our meeting, so my motion is to form this committee.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Bert?
I just want to say that I definitely would support this. We have a problem in this community with regard to short-term rental, where people are using our community for Airbnb. And so there's a lot of other things that we could look into with regard to the community's leasing policies.
Anybody else? Bert?
Yeah, could you please explain a little bit just how you see this committee functioning and what its goals are, just to clarify for everyone?
Well, one of the things that I think we have to do is review the existing policies, okay, and make sure that those policies are what we want. Secondly, I think we've got to make additions to those policies with regard to how we would propose to go about enforcing these rules, which would mean security and compliance. So there's a lot that we have to look into.
Rosemary?
Actually, Stuart Hack from the Gardenville Association, he's on the board. He came and did a presentation at our finance meeting, and there are things going on that we don't even really know about, especially with Third. It's different in United because of how the ownership is, but I'm sure similar situations. But there's subleasing going on. What are the, we don't allow subleasing, and one of the big challenges has been what are the present rules? How could we change them, and how can we get the support of the compliance team, which I believe is going to totally improve because compliance has been moved to security, so they will really be able to help us and work with us. Because in the past, if a resident saw something that they thought didn't look right, they didn't know what to do with it. So I think, it's going to be this committee getting together to go over the present rules, go over some of the challenges that we see, and then formulating what it should be, and then working with compliance as to what we do if we see a violation. So it's really going to be great. I think it's going to be incredible. So is that enough, Bert? Did Brad want to say something? Because he has his hand up.
I'll take care of it. Brad?
Thank you. I think it's a great idea. We have a huge problem. It's very subterranean, and the only way, irrespective of rule changes we make, that we'll ever really get a handle on it is to have more security out in the field. And for residents, every time you see something that doesn't look right or feel right, don't be afraid that you're making a mistake. Just call, and we'll figure it out. But if you see something in your neighborhood that doesn't look right, call us so we can go check it out. And if it's nothing, that's fine. If it's something, we'll take care of it. But please call us every time you suspect something.
Ray?
Yeah, at the present time, security does go out on a lot of compliance things, but their hands are tied at this present time. They only can go so far because of what's going on with compliance. Now we're working as a unit together, and it will be absolutely tremendous improvement.
Any resident comments? Okay, let's see, we need to get some people. I know, but we need to get some people too. We have a motion to establish this. It's been second. All in favor, raise your hand, please. That's unanimous. So we need who's going to be, are you going to be on it, Bert?
Yeah, I would
Okay.
like to be on it also.
Okay, and maybe one more? Okay, so you folks start off, and then next month we'll have it on the approval.
So, you want to pick a chair?
Pardon me?
Does somebody have to chair the committee?
Well, you folks get together
We'll
and
get
figure out
together
what
and
you want to
decide.
do.
Okay. And Stuart
Okay.
definitely wants to be on.
Okay, next item here, report of Finance Committee, Wei Ming.
So this is Treasurer's Report for July 19, 2006 board meeting. This is agenda item 14A. Turn to page 3 of 7, slide 1. Total revenue for 3rd through May 31st was $14,093,000 compared to expenses of $10,566,000, resulting in more revenue than expenses by $3,527,000. Turn to page 4 of 7, slide 2. With our new system, we now have fund accounting that help us see the activities between operating and funds. And funds means reserve funds. This chart shows how much of our revenue went into operations and how much went into reserve funds. After backing out depreciation, looking at the second to the last line, which is not funded, the depreciation is not funded through operation. And we can see that bottom line, we had a operating surplus of $791,000 through May 31st and $2,790,000 surplus, which is the revenue over expenses for reserve funds. And turn to next page, slide 3. With a favorable bottom line of $791,000 for operating compared to a budget of $372,000 through May, 3rd was better than budget by $418,000 for operating. This is operating surplus, and $4,448,000 for surplus for the reserve. The surplus for reserve really means the revenue is exceeding the expenditure for the reserve funds. The primarily reason for these surpluses for operating and reserves are due to more revenue received than planned. Favorable variance in miscellaneous revenue of $178,000 resulted from insurance reimbursement to the disaster fund recovering fire-related damages. This contributed to the reserve fund surplus. Overall, expenses are running lower than budgeted. Favorable variance of $22,000 in compensation and related due to some open non-union positions. Additionally, union medical costs are favorable by 1 month due to a change in payment accrual dates for 2016. Further contributing to the variance was the delay in the start of the non-union retirement plan. Contributions began April 15, 2016. Offsetting the savings was an unfavorable variance in landscape due to off-schedule tree pruning and more hours to date for groundwork. Staff is looking into further details behind these variances. Second, favorable variance in material and supplies of $121,000 resulted from the timing of work related to paint, laundry, and dry rot repairs. Favorable variance in utilities and telephone of $186,000 resulted primarily from lower fixed rates for water than anticipated in the mutual. Additionally, fewer kilowatts electricity have been consumed than budgeted. We also had an elimination of the management fee. The favorable variance of 63,000 offsets third portion of unbudgeted compensation and related costs for the CEO and community manager. Fourth, favorable variance of $1,011,000 in outside services resulting from the timing of reserve expenditures. So this is only contributed to the surplus of reserve funds. Building structure replacements were placed on hold while new vendors were reviewed. Additionally, implementation of solar panels is currently under review by the board. Slide 4, next page. On this pie chart, we show the expenses to date of $10.5 million by category, which may be difficult for you to see on the TV and monitors, but you can see that our largest categories of expenses are for compensation, outside services, and utilities. Next page, slide 5. The reserve balance on May 31st, 2016, or $20 million, and year-to-date contribution and interest to reserve or $4.7 million, and year-to-date expenditures were $3 million, and resulting 1.7. So we took in more than we expend. These are mainly due to the timing issue. The year-to-date average yield on investment was 1.81%. And let's go to agenda item 14B. 14B, I got it. Thank you. Oh, can't find my notes. Okay. Turn to page. I like to the 5 years comparison. So turn to 14B, page 4 of 6. This is the monthly resales report. This is through June 2016. Third average 40 resales per month compared to 41 resales per month in 2015, and 31 in 2014, and 40 in 2013 for the same 6 months. So we are almost identical at the same level as 2013. The sales volume for 2016 6-month average was 13,523,157, and this is 3.3% higher than 2015. On the average resale price for the 6-month average was $339,522, and this was 6.6% higher than 2015. And the next page on the lease activity, turn to page 14B, 6 of 6. Through June 2016, third average 1,659 leases per month compared to 1,706 leases per month in 2015 for the same 6 months. The leasing ratio is 27.2% of total units. This concludes my treasurer's report.
We have a resolution, do you not?
Right.
Oh, yes.
Going to the,
Let's go to the 14C, Entertain motion to approve revision to the financial qualification policies, and this need to be postponed to, for 30 days, postponed to September.
Bert, would you like to read that?
Whereas it is in the best interest of the corporation to protect and preserve the financial integrity of the corporation, now therefore be it resolved September 20th, 2016, that the minimum financial requirements for membership are adopted per the Third Laguna Hills Mutual Financial Requirements Policy, which is attached. Resolve further that the management agent is hereby directed to disseminate this information to the realty community serving Laguna Woods Village, Laguna Woods, and resolve further that this policy shall be put into effect August 16th, 2016, and resolve further that the management agent is hereby directed to return to the board in 2 years with recommendations for retaining or changing the requirements, and resolve further that Resolution 0312139, adopted November 20th, 2012, is hereby superseded and canceled. I move.
Thank you, Bert. Okay, so we need to get the words, make sure we all agree on the wording here, then we'll have a motion to postpone this for 30 days. Rosemary?
This came up yesterday for something else. I don't necessarily think the term managing agent is correct for what we have now. Because VMS, and Brad works for VMS, are a management company. You're not a managing agent. That was the term that we were using before. So I just am not sure if that is the correct.
No, they are still,
I
think they're still management agent.
I didn't see it that way. So I wanted to be sure that that term was used correctly, because yesterday we said it wasn't used correctly. So, because I don't see them as an agent for management, they're our management company.
Well, you can make a comment, and
Well, I
then
made the
if
comment,
there's
so we can look
discussion,
into
we'll
it.
vote on
Can
it.
we change it to management company?
Wait a minute, go
it's a-
ahead.
I move that we change the agent to company, so a company can be agent or anything else, yes.
And we could say our management company instead of the management company, because it's our management
It's
company.
okay.
But whatever.
Okay,
Whatever.
our management company?
Yeah, and then that just clears
All
it
right,
up.
any opposition to that? Okay, let's make the change.
And then I have one
Go ahead.
Okay, so the date is just a little bit off in the second resolve further. So this will be up to the board. The policy shall be put into effect, and it would be when you guys want to. This is not going to, assuming you in September that you approve this, you're going to need to make a date past September. So I'll let you guys decide what you want to do with that.
Well, what's your recommendation?
So do you have exact date, we should, correct exact date?
If you want to give them just a little bit of time to kind of get it out to the community, or if you want to do it starting September 21st, you can do that as well.
You could make it October 1st, so it's clean.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments? Anything from the membership? Come up here and speak there, please.
Can you hear me?
You have to speak closer to that. That's where the mic is.
Through this monster?
That's the
Okay.
mic.
Name and manner number, please.
Lloyd Silverman, 5144. Okay. With respect to this change, I would like to know, with regard to transparency, what factual basis there is for affecting this change. That is, On what evidence is there that makes this change relevant? And
Okay, does someone want to comment on that? Wei Ming?
I'll speak to it. Basically, we have this policy, I think the last time was 6 years ago that was updated. And since then, the inflation rate, because the two key changes are, one, the income requirement was $42,000. Now it's increased to $45,000. And we based on inflation, and there were some comments. We changed it to 50, but there were some member comments, and we look into situation and some other changes. And also there were some issues, a lot of comments, people concerned about. We are a retirement community that they have a lot of assets and there's no income. So we look into situation, we adopted a Freddie Mac rule and regulation. They have a formula that you can convert your retirement account assets into income as an income requirement. So the two key changes, and also under our CCNR ruling, the reason we have income requirement is the ruling says we need to be able to collect, member needs to have enough income to pay for our monthly assessment. And and based on our CCNR, really is that you need to have income that can fulfill your monthly your spending and plus the assessment. So we distinguish the ones we have a lot of people buying cash and people buying with mortgage. So we distinguish the one buying in cash. The income requirement is $45,000. With a mortgage, it will be $45,000 plus the annual mortgage, so they have enough income to pay for the expenditure and the assessment. And then also on the changes for the converting the assets into income requirement is basically we allow, this is adopted from Freddie Mac. You can take your 401k and IRA account asset balance, and we time a factor of Freddie Mac use 70% because we're older community. We use 80%, so we time 80%. You divided that by 25 years, like sort of like life expectancy. That can be fulfill your part of your income requirement. That will resolve a lot of people that don't have enough income because they are retired, but that they have assets. That's the key two changes. But there are other details you need to read.
Okay, and do you think that this will impact the ability to buy and for those of us who already have homes here to sell? Do you think there will be any impact on that market?
Actually, when we put this together, in the past, we never had the ability to convert your assets into income. So this ruling should actually help. And this was actually brought to, this we worked on very diligently with some of the people in real estate, because they said that a big problem they have is that people don't have the income, but they could qualify. So by Wei Ming working on this to have an ability to transfer or convert your assets to income in the paperwork really should be able to help us in the selling of our homes. I really believe so.
That might be a factor.
It's a wonderful change.
It's a big benefit.
Okay, thank you.
May I make one statement, Jim?
Go ahead.
I think the other thing that we considered is there's still a number of people who can't keep up with the assessments. And we have a meeting, well, we're going to have one this afternoon where we just go over the numbers. And although we're very fortunate as a community in that the overall percentage is small, the sum total is still in the thousands of dollars. And so this is another way to ensure that people who buy here can keep up with the assessments.
Thank you, Bert. Okay, with no further comments, I'd like to get a motion to postpone this for 30 days.
I so move.
Okay, second? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Report of Landscape Committee. Jim?
Thank you, Jim. In the landscape department, well, everybody understands that we are still in a drought situation, and because the weather's getting hot in this April, May, June, July, so consequently, we're going to have to irrigate our turfs, plants a lot more than in winter time, as I later will show our water bill situation. Based on that, now, because of this hot weather or drought situation, in order to save water, a lot of our turf do not look too good. Some of them look yellowish, especially under the tree. Some of the tree turf becomes spotty. So all those are sort of do not make our community look too good. So in order to solve this problem, what we're going to do is we intend to convert a lot of regular turf, grass, to ground cover greens. Of course, some of you may say, wow, I don't like ground cover greens. Actually, what I want to emphasize is ground cover, there's many type of ground cover greens. In fact, our staff already showed about 7, 8 types of ground cover greens, and in categorically, there are 2 types. One, well, which I like most is so-called juniper procumbens. But those type, they look uniformly green. They do not need to mow, but you cannot. It's a little bit like maybe 2-3 inches tall. It's very hard to step on. But there are also other type of ground cover greens that you can step on. So when it comes to that time, say to your friend or backyard, you will have a choice. And also staff will send you a letter to inform you when we're going to do it, what type you like to select. However, because of the gate 11, gate 14 do not have recycled water, so we're going to emphasize first on those 2 areas. Well, let me summarize this. There are 3 things the landscape is going to do. One is for large grass area, we're going to gradually change the ground cover greens. 2, for those under the tree, because of the tree shades, so turf will become, grass becomes spotty and become barren. This is the second part. We call it a sort of a turf repairment work. In fact, our CEO, Brad, with our landscape director, Kurt, they do once a week walk along the community, spot any of those spotty, terrible-looking turfs. They're going to remove the turf and put a mulch on, and later on put on nice-looking ground cover greens. Now, could I have the slide for 1? Yes. So the staff proposed areas in the gate 14, and our community already toured those areas, and basically there are areas well, I don't know whether you can see it, is cul-de-sac 404, 405, those grasses, cul-de-sac opposite to 406, and then the entrance at the cul-de-sac 407, and then along 408. All those are in gate 14. Now, those are large areas, but don't get scared. We're not gonna just go ahead do it without your consensus. So what we're gonna do is, for example, along the cul-de-sac 407, as upper left corner, you see that little triangle, blue triangle, green triangle. That's where we're gonna start. The staff gonna start first, and so that the residents have a chance to see how the ground cover green look. And then we give them people a chance to look at it and to feel about it, and then tell us your reaction. In the meantime, we'll send a letter to residents in gate 14 and gate 11, telling them what we're gonna do. And when we're getting ready to do it, they will have their choices of ground cover greens. Then the third thing we're also doing is, because of gate 11, relatively speaking, do not have that many large common area. So what the first thing we're gonna do is, you have a strip of grass connecting your front yard to backyard. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna remove those grass, the strip of grass connecting your front yard to backyard, so that eventually, when we come to remove the front yard, backyard, of course, with your consensus to what kind of ground cover greens that you like or you prefer. Of course, if you really insist, no, I don't want any kind of a ground cover green, I want to keep the grass, well, we're not going to force you into it. So I think that's sort of answer to Isabel. We do, we're not going to ignore the appearance of our community. We definitely, that's very much in our mind. So that's what we're going to do in the land. And later on, I will show you the water situation. So thanks. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Well, you might mention how much it's going to cost to do all this work here.
Oh, that's a good point. Because the ground cover green, the nice thing about why we changed the ground cover green instead of, desert-looking landscape, is that we don't need modify the sprinkler system, because if you want to remove the sprinkler system to change it desert-looking, that requires labors. Of course, then costs the money. So that's why we prefer ground cover green instead of desert. But if you really like the desert looking, and then you're willing to spend money, of course, that if you want to spend the money, then we have no objection, because desert looking do not need any water, and ground cover greens requires less amount of water than regular grass. And that's why, and also ground cover green is not that sensitive to the sun. That's why under the tree, if we put down the ground cover greens, it will be uniformly green instead of spotty and without grass. Now, as far as changing the ground cover green cost is concerned, because what we're going to do is we're going to remove the grass now, but then wait till winter time, months of September, October, November, at which time the staff can reduce certain amount of trimming. Therefore, they can mingle in this planting the ground cover green as a part of a normal operation. Therefore, there's no additional cost. That's another nice thing about it. And of course, I want to emphasize, ground cover green do not need a mow. So in order to, not only we can save a little bit of water, save the labor of mowing the grass, but also we can save some noise. I'm sure when the lawnmower are in your neighborhood, you say, oh gosh, what a noise there's are. If we don't have to mow those lawns, we don't have this noise. Thank you.
So could you just remind us all again why, because I know the answer, but maybe everybody else doesn't, why you're picking gates 14 and 11?
Because gate 14, gate 11, not gonna have a recycled water for the near future to come. We talked to Altora Water District, because we're in certain way, we're fortunate enough in the certain mutual. All the rest, gate 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 already have recycled water completely implemented, converted. Gate 9, right now, do not have a recycled water, but the Altora Water promised that they're gonna do it the next year, starting January next year. So within 2 years, hopefully, year and a half, that they will have recycled water in gate 9. But for gate 11, gate 14, because of their economy, gate 14, the pipe required to do the recycled water is too long. So Altora Water don't think it's very economy. And then gate 11, because only 300 residents. So again, they just don't consider that's their near future project. That's why we want to do those two areas first.
Thank you, James.
Next item is 16, MNC Committee. Bert?
Yes. The MSC committee met, and one of the topics of discussion was contract hours. We've observed that United had proceeded to change their contract hours to much shorter periods, particularly not allowing contractors to start before, like, I think it was 9 o'clock. Right, 9 to 5, which is really something that's a hardship on contractors, particularly during the winter hours, since it's already dark by 5 o'clock. And so we've discussed our contract hours, and we talked to staff and said, you know, this has got to be coordinated among all three corporations. That is basically Third, United, and GRF, and we've asked staff to see if they could align all three to common hours, which would allow contractors to start at 7 in the morning for non-noisy work and have no noise until 8 o'clock and then run till 5 o'clock. So we're hoping that the other two corporations come in alignment. Decorative split rail fence. We have already agreed to replace the cedar fencing with a more durable wood, and we've asked staff to come back with a plan, which they now have done. It's a plan right now to replace the fencing over 10 years period, and they pointed out that they would start with gate 11, where the area has approximately 30% fencing that needs repair. They were proposing to do this work with the carpentry staff. We felt that using carpenters for this type of job, which typically is done by laborers, might be cost excessive, and we've directed staff to go out and get bids from fencing companies to see what the price would look like in comparison. Interesting, by the way, very important. The staff held a unique program called Contractor Open House. We have for the longest time been going back to the same contractors over and over again. We didn't think that this was a healthy situation. And so what staff has done is they ran a open house for contractors. 150 contractors showed up. Okay. Now we're in the process of qualifying these people if they want to do work here. Okay, so they've got to be able to be licensed. Okay, they've got to have the financials to prove, and we will be looking into the type of caliber of work that they perform before we allow them to be on the bidders list. But this is a very positive step toward lowering costs of contracts by making things a lot more competitive than they have been in the past. With street signs, I don't know how many people have gone through Gate 7 down to the T, and you'll observe a very enhanced signing of addresses for buildings. And so we're looking at that now for other locations. We've asked Urban Crossroads, who currently is doing an analysis of parking for Third Mutual, to also take on this task. The other thing that we have done is there's this sample of curb parking. We've actually had on Gate 9, if you go up the Rio Blanco West, you will see that there are some curbs that have the addresses of the buildings on the specific cul-de-sac, the range. And the reason for that is, right now, a lot of the signs that we have are on top of stop signs, which are non-visible. You don't even get it lit at night. And some of these curbs, if you paint them, light up and are very visible, make it easier. We are in the process of, in fact, pretty much have reprogrammed the coin laundry machines, which will now give us the actual usage by machine. So we will have a better feel for when a machine needs to be replaced, whereas before we had no idea as to the actual usage of machinery. There are indications that we may have currently, based upon the loads that we've seen by laundry room, that we have excessive number of machines, which in case, if we find that that is true by machine, we can then go in and remove a machine and save in our capital expense and repairs. We have now been experimenting with anti-slip strips in our laundry rooms, where we have had people slip because of water on the floor, and that's underway. Garden Villa toilet replacements are moving ahead. And we, by the way, expect a report on the parking situation from Urban Crossroads within the next month or two. Staff, and this is proactive from staff standpoint, which is great because this is something that we really have never had in the past. Okay, they talk about proactively replacing unsafe stair treads on our Garden Villa buildings and other buildings. And I think that's great to see that we now have a proactive staff. Wonderful. Exterior, interior waistline remediation. This was going to be a very, very costly process because the only alternative we had in the past was to basically dig things up, break up concrete, or do what was necessary in order to be able to physically replace existing waistlines. Staff has come across with a process whereby it may be possible to reline the interior of those pipes in place with epoxy. And that is, we will know the results, by the way. They're experimenting with that right now. So we should know the results by the time we have our next meeting. So that, I think, again, is also very, if that works out, that is going to be a huge cost savings to the community. We are mothballing, if you recall, we are replacing or removing half the number of water heaters from the standalone laundry rooms because we felt we had learned that we just didn't need them anymore. Okay, the amount of hot water that is required today in order to do laundry is significantly less than the amount that had been required 40 years ago or so, 50 years ago, when we first built those laundry rooms. And as a result, we kept on replacing the hot water heaters as they went with the same size hot water heaters. And we realized we didn't need them. So we went ahead and staff has removed in the 43 standalone units half the number of hot water heaters, which is an energy savings and a very significant savings in energy. In the process of removing, and we told them to mothball them because they can then be used to replace existing hot water heaters as they fail. Staff found that when they removed in mothballing the heating elements, those units that were about 5 years old, the heating elements were so coated that the efficiency of those hot water heaters was way down. Okay. Also, we can now replace those elements for a mere $30. So we are going to go ahead and for any of the hot water heaters that are more than 5 years old. We're going to pull the existing heating elements and replace them with new heating elements. And you can imagine the efficiency of a heating element that's clean as opposed to one that's totally coated with salts. So that's another positive step toward energy improvement, which is financial money improvement. We have had a problem with, what do I want to say? The outer walls of our buildings, where there's been some leakage. And we have been experimenting with a new process to replace the tex coat applications. A tex coat application to fix any problems that we have had with that cost us $22 per square foot. Staff came up with a hard panel that is $5 per square foot. Okay. We've had one case where they went ahead and did a pilot. We went out and inspected it, and it looked pretty good to us. So I think we're going to be moving ahead with that program, and that'll be, again, significant financial savings in the future to the community. Another thing is dry rot, very serious problem in the community. One of the things that has been brought to our attention is that the cannons and corbels that are decorative things on buildings that we have within our community are a great source of dry rot. And it's costing us a lot of money to do prep and prior to painting to, again, deal with the dry rot problem within the corbels and within the cannons. So we are of the opinion, number one, we could cut back the corbels so that they exist only under the eaves of the building and shape them so that it's still attractive, and we should remove the cannons. We've authorized staff already to remove the cannons on all of the 43 standalone laundry rooms. Okay, and that'll be a significant savings as well. Gate 11, wall security. We're still, right now, waiting for city approval so that we can move ahead and finally complete that job. We still have a number of issues in M&C outstanding, and these are going to be addressed in the next M&C meeting. And I won't go down the list, but it is pretty lengthy. And we need to also now entertain a motion, okay? And that motion is for establishing an architecture and alteration subcommittee.
Okay. A second?
I would second that.
Any discussion?
I'd like to know what is going to be the responsibilities of this committee.
Okay. This committee is intended to replace the bus trip for the entire board. Okay, it'll be a selection of at least 3 directors to go out, okay, and then bring back their report. They will vote on the issue, okay, and we will take it from there at the board meeting. And so they will be looking into also the request for alterations and again making their suggestions. Right now it's a heavy burden on the board, particularly the M&C. The M&C meetings are running inordinately long, and we think that this can be a reduction of that time and a reduction in the load that's placed on directors going out on the bus trip. So it's trying to spread the work.
Jim? Sorry.
So are the people on this committee going to be decision tree experts?
Of course.
Yep.
Okay, so, well, I mean,
Yeah,
that's very important. Okay, because they'd have to be. But the thing is what the only part that I don't understand, and I appreciate, your desire to make things move more quickly, is will this still be part of the M&C meeting where the residents come and talk about their issues, or is this going to be branched off into something else?
I think that's got to be decided.
Okay, so it's still a little fluid how it's going to run. Okay. Does that
Well, we're
help?
setting it up as an independent committee.
Right,
actually, right now.
It's a subcommittee. of M&C.
But the big thing is when, the big time taker is not the bus tour as much as going over this stuff and going over it at the M&C meeting. So if you're going to change, then that would have to be part of the structure of your change. Okay, thank you.
Bert?
When you say 3 directors are gonna do the bus trip, are they the directors on your subcommittee, or is it gonna be a rotating basis?
I think we've got to make that decision, but I think we might find 3 directors who have the qualifications to do this continually, but if not, we can rotate it.
Well, maybe you should say what the
Yeah,
qualifications are.
plus the fact we talk about a bus trip, if it's only 3 directors, you know, and a few other people, I don't think we need these big buses to go around. We probably might find a little smaller vehicle.
Yeah, I will volunteer to be on there, so we get a couple more, so at least we can get it started.
Are you gonna look at the whole process for getting alterations? And as part of this, as part of the duty of the subcommittee? For instance, the whole neighbor awareness situation. Are
Not
you gonna-
initially. Not initially.
It would have to be then. I mean, it almost would have to be because it's a big part of it. Because the part of looking at something and having the approval is a big component in it because then we send it back. So there are a lot of components of that, your committee.
Yeah, I think, you know, this is something that we've got to work out in terms of how it's going to function. But at least,
Any
establish it.
comments from the residents associated with this new committee? Okay, any other comments here on the board? Okay, all in favor of the motion, raise your hand, please. Okay, opposed? 1 opposed. Oh,
No,
2,
2.
excuse me.
I think it's still too rough.
Okay, motion carries. Oh, also, Bert, before we move on to the next one, we need to talk about 5073. That was brought up earlier. Right? And what I've done here, I put one of these sheets for each of you, and this was handled at our last M&C, and it barely passed, but we've gotten some, just a minute, Ray. We've gotten some comments from the residents here in the area, and I've done a little bit of research on this. One of them is the people that said that they would approve this, a neighbor, and all of a sudden has decided to rescind that. He says, since that time I have learned there are significant issues concerning slope failure, which were not mentioned in the proposal. In our meeting, we talked about the slippage that was down at 5070, I think. I think it was back in 2006 when
2005,
2005.
by my house.
And so yesterday, I walked over there, actually to the 5070, and I looked down on Ray's property where all that dirt ended up. And so Third Mutual paid quite a few $1,000s to getting that fixed. The contractor came in and drilled holes in the slope and put in large pipes, maybe concrete filled, I'm not sure, to stabilize the slope so that would not happen again. I talked with Kurt Ron, and also there was some mention that maybe, just happen to have my notes here. I talked with Kurt Ron about this, who's the manager of our landscape area, and he has been here 21 years. And I was talking with him about the slope, the problem with slopes in this area, and he said, well, there's only one problem, and that was at 5070 back in 2005. And I said, well, we're talking about 5073 and 5072 and this 5075 now. And I said, has has there ever been, as far as you know, a problem with slope slippage or any concern in that area? And he said no. He's been here 21 years, and there's never been any problem with the slope in that 5075 and the 5073 area. And you can see on the drawing here, but before I go any further, Ray wanted to make some comments, so go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, especially if you want to have lunch, I'm going to have to say my comments so I can go. I wouldn't be able to get my reports. In any event, I have photographs. And what happened when the first landslide happened, it was by my house, and there was a drain system. The pipe broke and the water came down, and it's very evident. Now, with what you passed out, with the deal, where by extending the new house, that's going to be extended out, there's going to have to be drain systems put in there. There is a drain system in there right now, and if you look at the hill yesterday, there's a hole about 3 feet in diameter. I don't know how deep it is, right close to my neighbor's house, which is 1027. If that thing breaks and the hill comes down, I can guarantee you, if we don't go at this thing correctly, the insurance company will not pay for it. And by the way, we have a little bit of a problem in our paperwork here, because it says we have an endorsement, and the endorsement says we have to have a geological survey. However, on the resolution, it says absolutely nothing about it. And that is where you have to have it on the resolution. In addition, like you mentioned, the lady has rescinded her deal, and the third person is a tenant, and the owner supposedly signed it. However, it's printed on there, no date, no nothing, and nothing on here says I approve it or disapprove it. Here is the copy. There's absolutely nothing. And like I say, what's going to happen, I've got the photographs here, and here, people here can't see it, but there's a house right down below that's 1027. The hill comes down, I can guarantee you it's going to fill up his place. And if the insurance don't pay for it, who has to pay for it? We do. Please, we have to look at this thing and make sure it's done properly. I'm telling you, if we don't, like I said, you can laugh at me, but I haven't been an insurance investigator. If I was to work this case, I can guarantee you all of this information would be put forth to the insurance company, and I can guarantee you, you would not be being paid. It's got to be done 100% properly in order to protect our people. That's all I can say.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is refer this back to the MNC, and we'll take another look at it. We'll go out to the site there and try and keep the emotions down and just look at the specific numbers and so forth. For example, the lady's complaining about losing her view. The only view she's going to lose, according to our, this drawing is quite accurate on graph paper, and she's only going to lose 4 feet on the window. So she has a 20-foot window on the west side looking off to our local mountains or hills, and she's only going to lose 4 feet of that. So she still has 16 feet left on the side of the house. So let's see, Bert?
Okay. I think there are a couple of things I want to say. One is we are currently experiencing some cracking on buildings, and it's being attributed to the water level due to the drought. Okay, so that when we start placing additional load on that slope, we've got to really be concerned because of this situation that's currently existing because of drought. So I think, having that geological survey is absolutely, absolutely essential. Secondly, when you say you're losing the view, then the question is, it's going to affect my real estate values. We have no appraisal from a qualified real estate appraiser that basically says, whether or not there is a loss of value in her property. And I think if we're going to make that decision based upon a view, then I think that's something that should be required.
Oh, go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, Jim, I think we should put stakes out beyond here regarding the view issue. 10-foot high stakes or whatever it takes. So somebody can get a visual in the real world. They do this in Laguna Beach because they've got height restrictions, and when someone's building a new building, they will put stakes up so people can see where their sight lines are going to be. So I think to begin with, on the view issue, we need to put stakes in that with some way, I don't know whether it'd be tape or whatever, so people can get a real visual of what a structure there would look like.
Yeah, we can do that. Staff has done that before on previous places.
I think we should do that as soon as possible. The second thing, having spent many, many years living on a hillside in Seattle, I know about water and the danger. The water is your real enemy here. And Ray just confirmed what I suspected because I did not know about the slide, but it was a broken drain. And we mentioned in the MNC to Zora that staff really truly needs to go to all of the hillsides in this community and examine the drains to make sure that they're functioning. And it needs to be something on a regular maintenance schedule. On Santa Maria a couple years ago when we had a heavy rain, part of the hillside came down and busted the wall there in Santa Maria. And water, when it gets moving, can be a very powerful force. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I'd like to make one comment, please.
Okay, and then John.
Actually, I was not here when you had the MNC meeting or the bus tour, so I went over and spoke to this woman on Sunday, and I went into her house, and I looked at the view that she would have from inside her manor, and it's my impression that the view would be blocked. So I think when we look at this, we have to consider what it looks like from that point of view. So obviously, there are a lot of issues here that we need to resolve.
John?
I would like to discuss this with Denver based on we've had 3 letters that have come through, one of which raises potential health issues with this woman, and we've learned from some emails from Denver that that there are laws by the housing authority that we need to take into consideration.
I would sure do that. Dave? And then, but you're the last one, and we'll go, because we're sending it back to the MNC committee.
Okay, I encourage everybody to upgrade their manners, but when it comes to using common property and the neighbors object, I think that it's on its own should disqualify this alteration. Thank you.
Okay, let's go on to the next item here on 17, report of the Water Committee.
I thought you were going to let Ray go next. Ray
I have to report or I'm leaving, so I have to go.
has to go next.
Yeah.
Ray has to go next.
We have the Laguna Canyon fire situation you wanted, and it's on TV. I have to go pick up a lunch.
Okay, go ahead.
Either get a report or forget it.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
We're going ahead of time, so if the TV can put up those pictures. In addition, I have, if anybody wants to see close-ups, I have 5 pictures here of the fire over there in the canyon. What happened? There we go. Those are great pictures. Now, understand, Laguna Canyon Foundation has now made some changes. They're closing down quite a few of the areas, and they did not put out any information this month that would indicate what's going to be open. So the only thing I'll be able to do is to give you phone numbers. But I'll tell you one thing. The incident commander that was in charge of this fire did one fabulous job. And I can tell you that because I was an investigator, and I did fire investigations in Prescott, Arizona, and I handle things of this nature. That man saved this community a lot of challenges and stuff. The incident commander in the fire department did a fabulous job. It wasn't as close as people thought, but still it could have progressed in here and caused us a big problem. There again, that'll show you some of the fires. So it's very important that we understand what's going on here. Again, like I say, the Laguna Canyon Foundation, because of this and other changes, they will be putting out information. Once I get that, I will make sure to put it on TV and put it at the front desk. But I'll give you a phone number to call right now in the event you have any questions. It's 949-497-8324. That's 497-8324. They'll help you with that. It's going to be busy, but give them a chance. I'd like to go ahead and do the next report on the traffic committee,
Yes, go ahead.
if you don't mind. Thank you. From last July to the present of June, we've had a total of 3,684 notices of violation given. We have had, we've had 723 no fine deals, and what I mean by that is they say, well, give us a break out there. When you come before us as the judge, there are circumstances that come about that we say, okay, you're found guilty, however, there's no fine, or blah, blah, blah. It works out where we are the ones that can make a determination, so don't get upset with the security people out there not giving you a break. And another situation, closed citations were 2,384. We voided an additional 1,600 tickets. People that attended traffic school were 314. In fact, one of our VMS people asked to go because he wanted to know what was going on. It was mentioned earlier, also by Brad, that our security guys do some things. Just to give you an idea, they do foot patrol regarding fire issues, clutter, flammable liquids, electrical wiring, and so forth. They have hazardous situations, cracks and sideways. And by the way, in the past month, I have now developed, as you were mentioning, cracks in the cement. I have now 6 cement slabs in my area, my driveway, my garage, and my front that are beginning to crack. So it's happening over by my place again. The lighting situation, they look at that. They have maintenance problems, perimeter fences, pest problems, and signs. When they go out and see these issues, what they do is that they call in the proper people to make the repairs that are necessary. So it isn't just forgotten. And now the compliance will be working with them, boy, it's going to be even a much better situation. Real fast, if you don't mind, I'll go into not meet and confer, but problem resolution. We only had 4 people there the other day, and one happens to be a replay of what a person appeared in front of us last month. We will get an update on that as things happening again. We also will have a situation where, unfortunately, many things happen where they say, well, gee, we can't do anything about it. We have a staff now that's working, and Mr. Mattson was present the other day. Staff was really phenomenal. They got all of the pertinent information, gave some background information on the back. We made suggestions as to what will help and so forth and so on. And we're now getting compliments. Thanks a lot. Things are working much better. And that staff is really doing a phenomenal job of trying to get to the answers. And Mr. Mattson gives some good answers to it, and our other associate, Bert, is also involved in it. And we try to make sure that everything is done right. If there's a challenge with, for instance, a 3-story building, we don't want the people in there to be going in, this one complains about that, this one complains about that. So what we're trying to do is we're going to be having staff put together a program that will say, okay, if there's a real major problem with the paint situation, report that to the captain or to us, rather than this one going to this one, that, and the other. So it's really working out real good, and we're getting compliments and thanks. And Mr. Mattson did a great job the other day in some of the answers he gave. In fact, he went immediately after the meeting and talked to the painting supervisor regarding the situation. Thank you, sir. Okay. And if you don't mind, I have to go. You got a question?
No. Before we go on to the next item on your list, I had 2 M&C things that I wanted to ask, so we could go back. Number 1, when you're doing the fencing, and I'm sorry, I was stopped outside in the hall, so I missed it. When they've removed fencing in the past to do repairs, lots of times they totally destroy the planting along the fencing, and then they don't want to come back and replant, and it could be very expensive. So I hope that however it's planned, we make sure that that's taken care of, because you don't want to be going through replacing fencing and then we have to spend a lot of money on fixing the landscape, or otherwise suddenly you went and had a beautiful bougainvillea hanging over your fence and now it's like nothing. So I think we have to work that into your plan. And the other thing is we had a wonderful Garden and Villa Rec Room Committee meeting, which is part of maintenance and construction. We had one last week, and we accomplished a lot of things. So, and everybody is so impressed with the LED lighting in the rec rooms. It's like you think we performed a miracle. So, thank you. And I wanted to just report on that.
Okay, thank you. All right, next item is 18, Energy and Technology Committees.
No, there's water conservation.
That's why I said we have to do that one next.
Oh, I got it checked off. Okay, well, go ahead, Jim.
Okay, Channel 6, could I have the slides up for water conservation? No, the next one. Well, I don't know whether you can see all the numbers, but if you're interested, there are additional copies in the side panels. Well, there's 2 points I want to make. First is basically those 2 columns of numbers are the Tier 3, Tier 4 water bills each month. But you can see from the top is starting January 14, 2014, then 15 and 16. Now, both those Tier 3, Tier 4 water bills are in a monotonical sort of more or less on a decreasing. This is because our staff are fixing the under slab leaking, in wall leaking. Of course, we also after the old leaking toilet. So all because of this. So in general they're decreasing, but there's several months you can see the huge Tier 3, Tier 4 water, especially is coming from irrigation. That's come from landscape. Now, starting last year, August, the Altor Water decided, I've said many times before, they changed the drought factor from 1. 1 means you keep original amount allowed for Tier 2 water outside the irrigation. Now, suddenly they changed that factor from 1 to 0.5. That's why the August we have huge Tier 3, Tier 4 water bill because of that. Since then, the staff has been gradually adjusting. So and also this winter time, therefore we are huge irrigation water bill, Tier 3, Tier 4, starting decreasing. However, now, because if you look at the bottom of 4, the April this year, May this year, the 1st April, 1st of May, those are the total Tier 3, Tier 4 water bill. Again, because as I said, we want to keep while we're at it, we still have the turf. We want to keep the turf green. That's why there's a huge irrigation Tier 3, Tier 4 water bill. And that just because of that, that's why we want to improve this situation by going to the ground cover greens. That's why we launched this project in order to save water, not to keep those big bill all the times. The second point I want to make, if you look at the bottom part, the 2nd April, the 2nd May, you can see that Tier 3, Tier water bill is very small, and that is the residential part. This residential part decreasing because the staffs are constantly plumbing or working on the in-walls leaking and the inner slab leaking. And they every month we working with the staff, tell them which meters are the highest Tier 3 Tier bills. They're using that to prioritize their plumbing leaking priorities, therefore gradually reducing. So in the future, we'll be able to actually to tell you that which one Tier 3, high Tier 3 being reduced because they're fixing the problem. And the last thing I want to mention is on the Garden Villa recreation toilet project, the total 76. They complete, 76 subtract 7, 69 of them. The last 7, I saw they are complete, but it turned out they didn't complete because they have the toilet company has problem to getting the information. You know, most are certain mutual other than gate 11, most of the water meters are multi-manners. So they take some doing to corresponding out which meter goes to which building. And then in order to get a rebate, they need to detail that information. So before July the 3rd, as that toilet comment says, that's the deadline to submit those information. Well, it turned out our staff did send, but when they did send, the file was too huge, so it got bounced back. Therefore, this last 7 toilet will be replaced, but without the rebate. So a little bit unfortunate. I guess that cost $145 each for 7 of them. So, but anyway, we still get all those 76 done. So I guess because of this little minor problems. Okay, thank you.
Now, one thing, Jim and another director have become experts on toilets, so. We got a toilet crew here that, and when we don't mess around here. Okay, Bert?
We should form a subcommittee.
Yeah, with regard to the decline in residential, I think, you know, we really owe a thanks to, perhaps, to our residents, okay, who are basically now heeding the fact that we are indeed in a very serious drought and perhaps are taking steps to reduce their water usage.
Right.
And that we can also attribute perhaps to the communications committees who are making pleas constantly to the community to do what they can to save water.
Okay. Bill?
Want me to report on the Third Mutual Energy Committee?
Well, I'm just getting ready to, you're all through, Jim? So the next one is 18, Report of Energy and Technology Committees, one of my favorites, so Bill Walsh.
Okay. I guess what I want to start out with is to actually compliment Bert. Bert, you've, over the last 2.5 years, have been a strong advocate of moving this community to LED lighting, to other energy-saving initiatives like the hot water heaters. And it's telling right now that our electricity costs, our operating costs, as were reported in the finance report, have dropped. We're starting to see the impact of this on our operating costs, and it's really wonderful to see. Wei Ming just informed me she did some calculations on the hot water heaters.
No, LED and hot water.
LED combined, and we all got an email I won't go into, but it's quite a significant reduction in electricity usage. So we're all winners on this one, okay? I'll start out by saying we had an issue at the MNC with someone trying to install solar, and the issue of the parapet and the alteration standards. We need to revisit the alteration standards for multi-story buildings in the community. And somebody can give me guidance on how we can go about getting a group together to talk about the issues that are involved in that. Basically, the parapet issue was in the alteration standards, an issue about if the solar panels are put at an angle, they can't be more than 6 inches above the parapet. And yet, when we have flat roofs like I have, I've seen people with 23 degrees just right out in the open. And so there's some inconsistencies in our standards. And we also, Bunny brought up the issue about, she wants to talk about the roofing issue again. We talked about C39 roofers being allowed to put in, do the roofing installations for the solar. So we need to talk about that. And then Kitty Pratt has come to me and talked about two-story buildings and the way we have the allocation of roof space laid out for two-story buildings like the Casa Catenta. So we need to go back and revisit all of those standards and work on that. So offline we can talk about how we go about doing that, how we can get some people together to do that. Garden Villa lighting controls. We found some lighting, there were some lights that weren't going off at the right time or coming on at the right time. And so we've asked staff to go out and do an inventory of the lighting controls, particularly in the garage areas and things like that. So we should have a report back on that. Solar-powered LED building address lights. We found that they were fairly dim, and so we've asked staff to go out and take a couple of those address lights, those solar address lights, and turn them to maximum. And we want, one of the lights needs to be in a very sunny exposure, and then we want one that's kind of located in a less than optimum location for the sun, and see how long they last. The battery's going to be charged during the day with the sunlight it can get, but it's got to hopefully run 8 hours during the night when the light needs the energy. And we're going to have staff go out. They said they would go out in the middle of the night and check at different times to see if those lights were still as bright and whether they lasted the entire night. Go ahead, Rosemary.
Just in case a resident wants to run out in the middle of the night and see or it's their building, where are these buildings? What numbers are they?
Boy, you asked me a question I didn't come prepared to answer. I can tell you where they're located, like off of cul-de-sac 209, over out of gate 5, and right along.
You know what? If you can get the numbers, we could put it in our newsletter. We can, because
Okay,
we're publishing.
I can get you the numbers.
Yeah, that would
Okay.
be good. That would be, unless, do you have the numbers, Bert?
No, but
Oh.
it's more, you'll need more than the numbers, because you have to know the location on the building.
Okay, well, that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
So-
Right. Well, if the light doesn't guide you to the number, then you know it's not working, right?
Right. Thank
Yeah, right. Anyway, we are working with Southern California Edison on a couple of initiatives. Staff has gone out and, at least according to my notes, Southern California Edison is quoting us at about $450 per light head if we move from high-pressure sodium lights to LED lights. And what we want to do and what we've asked staff to do is to go out and get some bids on solar-powered streetlights. And we're going to ask for three poles and 3 solar light heads, solar-powered light heads for the LED lighting, to see and place them. Our plan is to place them in some pretty dark areas of the community. And as we all agree, it's a target-rich environment. There are a lot of dark places in the community at night. And so what we'll do, we haven't decided on whether we'll have staff install them or get a bid from somebody to install, a vendor to install those three lights. One of the advisors suggested that we might want to try some testing of LED lighting on some GRF-owned lights over by the shuffleboard courts that really aren't functional right now, but we've got to go to GRF and ask them permission. But that's on the table. Also, the committee authorized or directed staff to proceed with having the Third Mutual light pole near the 969 building be replaced with a new and taller pole by Super Green for testing different LED light pole heads, okay? And I'm assuming that's in progress, okay? And lastly, we asked Southern California Edison for evaluation report of all the 800 or so streetlights in the community. And SCE is going to do a streetlight acquisition program. This is part of their streetlight acquisition program. And that report is due here at the end of July. Once that report comes from SCE, Third Mutual has 1 year to decide which of 4 options and tariff types to accept, including outright purchase of the SCE light poles. Okay, now, right now, those 4 options have been, at least a preliminary, some preliminary numbers have been given us, and I'm not going to report on them here. You can ask me about that. But the reality is that if we go with LED lighting, the the tariffs will actually increase because they want their money back from installing those heads, and it would be over a 20-year period. So we've got some big decisions to make about how we're going to deal with the current SCE light, street lights, and how we're going to progress with that. And I'm going to turn this over to Bert because he's going to tell you about what's going on with the breezeway and walkway lighting.
Jim, can I make a quick comment on what? Just for your information, Bill, I put a flagpole in at J. Sarah High School 5 years ago, $6,500. So that's basically what it cost to put a pole in, plus inflation.
How much was it?
$6,500.
$6,500?
Yeah.
How tall was the pole? Huh?
It was a flagpole.
Oh, a flagpole. Oh, okay. My hearing's going, but, okay. Go ahead, Bert.
Well, just in response to that, the pole that we're putting up over at 696 cost about $300, not including installation. Okay? Okay.
That's not from SCE, that's
No, that's outside vendor.
yeah.
Now, what am I supposed to be talking about, Bill?
Oh, you were talking about the
pilot,
bids for
right. We still have breezeway lights to replace on the garden villas and the walkway lights on the LH21 buildings. We have identified a single fixture, by the way, that might be used, and we're going to run a pilot for both applications, and actually for 3 applications, because we also have a pilot that we want to run in one of the standalone laundry rooms. And if we could use this single fixture for all 3 applications, we will be way ahead of the game with regard to maintenance, having to store replacement units. So that'll be in progress over the next month or 2, okay, where we will be selecting a building and putting in these lights and checking to see how they're suitable. We also will have to vary the lumens to make sure that they're not too excessively bright, and we want to make sure that we have the right color. So that'll be underway. Walkway lighting, United basically went ahead and replaced bulbs in their existing walkway lighting. Unfortunately, they selected bulbs that reflect light upward rather than sideways. It is our intent to try other fixtures, find out that those lights that we have on our walkways are really not that effective. Also, the placement of those lights needs to be relooked at. So we are going to look into, again, a pilot program, looking at different light fixtures and different bulbs, which will disperse light at a much better dispersion rate than what we have today, because our walkway lighting leaves much to be desired. So we're going to, again, do pilots. Somebody once questioned, well, why don't we just go ahead and do it? And my comment to that is, let's do it on a small scale. Let's make sure that we've got it right before we go ahead and do it and then have to do it all over again. So that's what's happening with walkway lighting and with the breezeway and the LH21 walkway lights. And, by the way, the laundry rooms.
Thank you, Bert.
Okay, two more things. Back to Southern California, Edison. We've asked if they could put arms on the top of the existing streetlights. And on the corner of Alta Vista and Carrizo, there is a pole with an arm on it with a streetlight on it. They have come back to us repeatedly over the last couple of years and said those poles will not support that. So we're going back to them and saying, explain to us why we can't put arms on these streetlights so we can get more light out over the roadways. So we'll see what comes of that. And the last thing I want to talk about is the meeting with Solar Optimum yesterday. Rosemarie, that was a meeting called, and that's why we overlap the GRF meeting, Communications Committee meeting, and that's why I was not there. I know. In defense of staff, it was real critical that we meet to move the project along. But I understand what you're saying, because I've been a couple of other task force. These have been superseded too. So It looks like Solar Optum has some pretty good numbers for us. They're going to firm things up here, and in 2 weeks, they're going to come back and talk to us with better numbers. The one thing that I think we talked about yesterday was possibly increasing the percentage, going from a 50%, how do I want to say this, to increase the amount of solar panels that we put by about 10%. 10 to 30%, and we've got to figure out, particularly with the savings they're now experiencing from the water heater and the LED lighting issues. We've got to size this properly because we don't make it too big. But yesterday we talked about increasing it by something up to 30%, but there's an email that Bert sent out this morning that kind of says we need to back off on that 30% increase. So they're going to bring numbers for two things. They're going to bring numbers for what our original plan was for the installation, and they're going to bring numbers for increasing that by up to 30%. So we can all have a look at it.
Okay, thank you very much. Bert?
I think it's important to realize, it's very difficult for us to estimate what load is going to be like as time goes on. So what I did is I sent this email out. Thing to remember is that the system has to be sized such that after the 25-year warranty period, okay, or at that 25-year warranty period, it is delivering the amount of energy that they're guaranteeing, which means, given that the system loses efficiency over time, okay, they have to size that system right now in the initial installation about 13% more energy, okay? So when you try to figure out what percentage, you got to take that into account, that in the first year you're going to be receiving 13% more energy, okay? And if you're saying, well, I designed the system for 80%, essentially you're going to get 93%. We do not want to go over that 100% mark, because then you get penalized, okay? You're basically spending more money than you have to. The other thing is that in terms of, you need a crystal ball. Yes, we are doing more efficient operation. JCI estimated that with the replacement of lighting with LED, which we basically have almost accomplished, and the replacement of the hot water heaters, which basically we have not accomplished, in essence, their estimates of energy usage is based upon replacement of all of our hot water heaters with much smaller hot water heaters, which therefore would be using a lot less energy. Okay, but then we have to take into consideration that there are forecasts which say that by 2020, 10% of all vehicles that are going to be sold will be pluggable electric vehicles. Some will be all electric, some will be partially, they'll be the hybrids. So there will be a demand, okay, for more energy within our community, because electric vehicles, particularly pluggable ones, are ideal for senior citizens. They don't go that far. Therefore, electricity, is the real answer. So we would be expecting more cars coming into the community demanding the right to plug into our circuits. So you got a crystal ball?
Well, actually, on the other hand, the more LED type circuits we get in here, the energy requirements will lessen, which could be offset by these cars coming in. So,
well, we've already considered that. That's been considered in the numbers that were initially used. We're not going to save, if you take a look at our bills today, okay, replacing the lighting in the laundry rooms, the walkway lighting, the breezeway lightings, will not introduce any significant savings, because what we're doing is replacing CFL, okay, with LED, and there's not that much savings to be experienced. So you might assume that what we've done up to date, okay, is going to be about what you can expect in the future as far as lighting goes.
Okay, well, let's, you're all through, Bill?
I am finished.
Okay. Next item, 23, GRF committee highlights.
No, you missed.
Oh, 21, excuse me, I did that once before. report of who, let's see, that's Bert Baum, Communications Committee.
Bert ran the meeting because I was at another meeting, so he will report.
I will do my impersonation of Rosemary. A lot came up during the Franklin mentioned how we want to have better communication and transparency, and that's really the objective of the Communications Committee. We want to increase and improve communication between the board and the residents, the new residents and the not-so-new residents, and this is a two-way deal. So what we're looking at is how we can better inform the residents about what's going on, particularly in terms of what the board is doing and what's happening in Third Mutual. But secondly, we want to improve the way the residents communicate to us. So we're looking at both those aspects. In terms of communicating with the residents, one of the big projects we've been working on, and Lori has been involved in that, is the community newsletter that all the boards put together called The Breeze. And I would encourage everyone to subscribe to it. And what's really great about it is it's free. So you can get it via email. All you need to do is go to the Laguna Woods Village website. That's lagunawoodsvillage.com. And there'll be a link which will tell you just how to do it. You click on the link and boom, you will get it monthly as email. And we still are putting out hard copies which are available in the clubhouses and here in the community center. So we encourage you to read it, and we're interested in your reactions to The Breeze and what you would like to see in it. Talking about communication, when I was on vacation, I got an email from someone who wanted to put a club notice in The Breeze. I didn't get a chance to answer that person directly, but that's not what we're going to do. We're certainly not, at least initially, going to have club announcements. But we will tell you what's going on and what the boards are doing. The other thing in terms of communication by residents with the board is we have this village helper line, which I've been running. And if you need to, if you have a question, you want to know where to go, you can call me on that line. It's 949-945-5488, and we'll try to at least direct you as to where to get the information you want. And what we're finding is that a lot of calls are coming from new residents. People who just moved into the community and know they've gotten a packet, and we're working on improving the communication through that packet.
Bert, why don't you repeat that number again?
Yes, the Village Helper Line. Write it down, 949-945-5488. So if you have a question, we'll try to help you, or we'll put you in touch with someone who can. In terms of communicating with the new residents, we're looking at the packet that new residents get, and we're looking at ways to distribute it. We're going to ask realtors to help us and participate in handing out packets, or make sure they get a packet when they come and get their cards. And we're also working on the new resident orientation meeting, which is held for new residents, every third Friday, third Friday of every month at 9 a.m. right here, okay? So we welcome you to come. We'll be here and in the Birch Room behind us. And You'll have a director talk to you, and you'll have all kinds of information accessible to you. But we realize there's a lot of information, and it takes a while to learn about this. The other thing that we are looking at is for the board to send out email blasts on important items. One of the ideas is if we're going to vote on something that's really important, we would send out a blast so people are not surprised when this happens. We're just trying to increase the mode of communication. And the other thing we've discussed, and I want to talk about that fire that happened that Ray talked about in the Laguna Woods Canyon, where there was smoke all over the community. I want to commend Lori, who was right on the ball and sent out a series of emails to everyone so they knew what was going on. And we would like to extend that idea and have actually robocalls so that people who are not on their computer, not looking at their iPhones, will get a phone message telling them just what's going on.
Chuck's working on that.
And Chuck is, I just got a bulletin, Chuck is working on that, so we're giving you even more up-to-date communication. And the other thing is, residents send emails to the board, and that's not, I don't think, handled in a routine fashion, and we want to do that. What the staff is doing for us right now, if you write a letter to the board, the staff will take that letter and acknowledge the receipt of it, which I think is important, and then route it to anyone who is concerned, any staff person who deals with that matter. And I think that's really important. And I think we need to do that with emails too. And of course, we have meetings, like board meetings and committee meetings that residents can attend, but we also will visit clubs. If you have a club or organization you want a director to come and bore you, we certainly would be happy to participate. And I have been invited to come to the Algarobo Neighbors and Friends meeting this Saturday. Bunny is, I don't know, are you president? A member of this meeting. It's going to be 9:30 in Clubhouse 6. You're welcome to attend and ask questions. And Chuck Holland, who is our IT director, will be there and explain all the good things that he's doing.
I'm going to
So-
be there too to heckle you.
And Lori will be there too, which is even more important because she's the only one who knows what's really going on. So, I'm sorry?
That it?
I said, because I survived one and they served breakfast, I was just letting Lori
Yeah,
know.
but I have to tell you, I have to skip my tennis game for that, so nothing can help me on that respect. The other thing is we have the town halls that people are familiar with. We urge you to attend and find out what's going on, and we want to work more closely with TV6. So, and if you have any ideas, suggestions, please write the board. You can write me, and we will try and follow up. Thank you.
Thank you, Bert. Well done.
I just
Bonnie.
want to make a comment about the Algarobo Neighbors. It is not just for Algarobo neighbors, it's for anyone who would like to attend.
Okay, GRF committee highlights, item 23. We'll start with Bert and come this way.
I want to report on the GRF M&C. Currently, they reported on Clubhouse 2, and right now they're placing the patio tiles down, and I believe the roof is complete. And they're going to, when they finish placing the tiles, they should be receiving the doors, so they can put the doors on the building, and once that's done, they can test the EMS and the HVAC systems to make sure that we have proper heating and air conditioning, which I think is great.
Are
Pickleball
they still
courts,
holding for an August 1st opening on that?
August the 9th, no, I'm sorry, September the 9th.
September?
September the 9th will be the opening date, the celebration date, we hope. We hope. I mean, one of the clubs, I think, have already scheduled to have a party there
On September 10th.
on September the 10th, right? So they feel fairly confident that they're going to bring it in on that date. You know, we may miss some of the landscaping, but that's all right. That's no horror.
Plenty of time.
Yeah. Energy Club has been canceled. Oh, let me cover the pickleball courts. They have basically now selected a site that was raised. That's over right by Gate 12, when you pull into Gate 12 on the left. Okay. They're still waiting to hear from the geological people with regard to the suitability of the ground. As I pointed out before, the noise issue was raised. It may indeed require something be done, not for necessarily our residents, okay, but for the hotel. Okay, and perhaps this could be accomplished with planting or something, but that'll have to be looked into. But right now, I think they're going to do some acoustic work after the fact. The Gate 5 will be closed starting August 1. Totally closed to automobile traffic. There will be a pedestrian walkway, okay, that will be available to people that want to walk in. And I thought that was an important thing that was accomplished. So that's pretty much the M&C for GRF. Energy canceled.
Okay, Dave?
Yes, I apologize for missing the Mobility and Transportation Committee meeting yesterday morning, but I did go to the pre-meeting, the agenda prep, and met with Ernesto. He had a great plan. I was feeling really comfortable about what he presented. I think John attended the meeting. I'd like him to discuss the rest of it.
Ernesto presented a 5-point plan, and I would recommend that you get a copy of the minutes of the Mobility and Vehicle Committee so you can read the 5-point plan. It's about 2, maybe 3 pages long, and it's very, very detailed and discusses the bus system. Busing is expensive, and Ernesto's view is that we need to look at this thing, and he's reaching out to other people that run buses, and he's trying to find a way to enhance the efficiency of the program.
John, could you arrange to make copies of that and have it put in our boxes?
Yes, sir.
You mean it was his staff report?
I'm
The
sorry.
staff report he did yesterday?
Yes.
I can do it.
Oh,
Thank
that
you.
would be
You're
great.
welcome. It was on,
Go ahead.
I'm on the...
Okay. Bert reported on Clubhouse 2 that meeting was canceled. I'm glad he got some information at the GRF M&C on that. The GRF Energy Committee was canceled, and so I did not attend that. And because of the Solar Optimum meeting yesterday, I did not attend the GRF Media and Communication Committee, and I will defer any comments to Rose Marie. That's all I have to say.
I just want to remind everybody, tomorrow at 9:30 is the GRF 2017 budget. And I also participated the insurance broker bid. This is something new that this is the first year we ever get to involve in the bidding of the insurance. We pay several $1 million of premium currently and in the past. And it always was handled by the risk management and purchasing. The board has never participated. It was pretty educational, and I think first thing, the existing vendor automatically dropped quite a bit. So, competition does bring down the price. I think we will have great insurance broker savings through the bidding process.
Wonderful.
No comments.
Go ahead.
I thought for sure that you would mention that on Friday morning at 9:30 is no, I know, but when you mentioned it, because it's third, we have our third budget meeting. For me, I'm on CAC, and as part of Community Activities Committee, I was on the interview panel for the candidates for the new recreation director, and a decision has not yet been made. And we're working on major areas of concern, especially excessive use of the meeting rooms by certain groups. We have some groups using the rooms, and I'm not talking about Ed Saddleback because that's a different issue, but some groups having over 300 meetings. And the thing is that's really excessive because what we're trying to do is look at a fair utilization of the rooms, because if somebody wants to have even an anniversary party or memorial service, we very often don't have space. So we're really working on that, and I know that Brad and Lori are going to be involved because people have to be met with so that we could rediscuss with them their utilization and come up with a more practical plan. We're still waiting for a report from finance, a report that we could use so we can update the room cost and the room charge so we could look at a plan for room rates. And we are working very diligently with staff on coming up with a plan for compliance, because there are, as with anything else, there are certain people who just want to break all the rules. So they book the clubhouse for, the newest one was for a book club, and then the next thing is, and they use it at the resident rate, and the next thing is this book club is loaded with scads of people. I won't say hundreds, but a lot of people who do not live here, because we don't have a lot of teenagers living here, so that's a clue. And so we're really working with compliance so that the club supervisors could be better trained, because they could report violations of our room utilization policy, and that people can be penalized. And by penalized, I'm not talking about, we're going to get sums of money, but they're not going to be able to just rent the rooms the next time, or they're going to be watched, so that we can make sure that the rooms are used by the residents for resident functions. That's the purpose. We also met yesterday on the Clubhouse 2 opening celebration, which is scheduled soon. And we will be, I'm not going to say the date, no, but the thing is we're going for a date. And as soon as everything is firmed up, we're going to meet again, in like 2 weeks, I think it is. And we'll be, much more firm on the date. And the important thing is we're really trying to do a great job, and we're trying to do it at minimal cost. Actually, the only money that we are spending is for staff. We're getting food donated, entertainment is being donated by the residents who are entertainers, the different clubs, there's going to be some Shakespeare stuff, et cetera, so it should be pretty exciting. So we're working on that, and we'll know more soon. We are not going to send invitations out to everyone, because I reminded Lori as to how much that postage would cost. So we're probably going to do things with email, which takes us now into our communication. Our communication newsletter, better known as The Breeze, has a distribution, and we have to say distribution as opposed to subscription because nobody pays for it. So it's distribution of 5,699 residents are hooked in with their email address to get a copy of this, which is really exciting. And it's growing every month. And we're trying to gather names. And we are working, Lori is doing this, working with the new company who is improving our website, because we're also going to improve the look and the appearance of the newsletter, and maybe make it a little bit easier to get things in and have them fit better. And we are still printing 1,000 copies, and that might go down. We're working on, this is going to be a new one, regulations for drones. Okay? I know, how could we have, and the thing is the regulations can't just come from GRF, because it's the housing mutual airspace too. So they are working on it. They're working with security primarily, and what the rules and regulations are, and they'll come up with something, and then this is going to have to be something that has to be approved by all of the boards. But we have to make sure that we get it out there, because we are finding, because you cannot have a visitor come and operate their drone. And that's what we're having. So we have to remind residents, and Lori was going to put something in the, a little press release in the Globe, reminding people that, if your grandchildren or your nieces or whoever they are, or your brother, they can't come and operate their drones. Actually, they are pretty frightened. There was one overhead in my area the other night, and it's almost scary, like, who are they? What are they doing? What are they watching? And they're going to come and attack us? So there are all these different regulations as to how high they could go, et cetera. So Bert, I know you wanted to do this, so it's on the list. And please make sure that you look at your TV schedule. That's that little copy thing that is given out. Is it at the front desk? Is it at the concierge desk? Yeah. Because in the TV schedule, we list the times that the meetings, like the board meetings, that are taped when they are being shown again, because some people complained that, why am I taping it? Well, it's on when I'm taping something else. And you know that our equipment has limitations, so you can only tape 2 things. So I believe they run at midnight, so make sure that you look at that. Another thing that's happening is staff is actually looking into possibly having a second movie day, where we have recently run movies, and it's on twice in the day. It's on Mondays, so they're actually planning on having a second movie day. We'll know more, and it would be with a different movie. So that's really good. Russ reported yesterday that I think that cost us $6,000 a year. Well, that's pretty cheap. I mean, that really isn't. I mean, I was trying to figure out how much is that per man or per month, and it was really, that's low. It's like 50 cents per man or per year, I think, or something like that. Yeah, about like that. So, and we are, and Bert went into this a lot, we are looking at orientation. Third is working very hard looking at our new resident package, but supposedly there's a new resident handbook that's on the website that was so old that they actually had to pull it off. I didn't even know there was one. You did? All right. So they actually pulled it off because it's so old. So I really think that we should be working, our team should be working more closely with United on this, because we have so many things that are the same. So possibly we should talk to the president of United, because they don't have a communication group as we do. And we have not, this is our last thing, we have not decided if we're going to have another town hall, because soon, because our promise when we said we were going to have town halls is it had to be something that was very timely. So it doesn't look like we have something that's up for September, but because not enough new things will happen, so there might be one in the fall, because we just don't want to have town halls for the sake of having town halls, even though they're very popular and a good way of communicating with our residents. Thank you very much.
Okay. Bunny? John?
I also attended the GRF M&C committee member as well. I might mention that, I don't have the date, Lori, but perhaps you do. This Clubhouse 2 is having a ribbon cutting ceremony. The Clubhouse 2 is having a ribbon cutting ceremony, I believe it's in August, and it's going to be a terrifically big deal, and they're using the vendors to make it a party, and they're supporting it, so there'll be no cost to us. And I'm going to go. I really expect that it's going to be a very fine function.
It's actually going to be in September.
Oh, it's in September, and you might want to consider it.
Okay, Bert?
I just wanted discussion about Clubhouse 2. John Parker is going to talk about Clubhouse 2 at the FOV meeting. It's this Friday at 2 o'clock in the Village Greens. So you may get some more detailed information there if you're interested.
Will he take questions? Because I've got some hard questions for him.
Oh, he's
Oh, okay.
I'm not I have no idea.
Oh,
I
okay.
cannot answer that.
All right, thank you.
Okay, John, did you want to say something real quick?
Yes, John Louis, 3318. I believe there's some correction on the start date for gate 5. I believe it's August 15th due instead of August 1st due to some permitting issues with Southern California Edison. So it's been changed to August 15th.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to director comments. We'll start with Bert. Director comments?
No comment.
Okay. Dave?
No comment.
No comment.
Ming?
I want to mention about the solar funding. I just want to make sure people at ease on our funding situation. The funding basically will come from the surplus from 2015. In 2015, we have $2.3 million surplus. That money will probably less than half of it will be spending in the 50% of prepay for our solar PPA, and the other will be putting into the reserve for the dry rot repair. And also, because of it's a purchase agreement, we'll be paying roughly 4 or 5 cents a kilowatt. That will generate savings roughly about over $150,000 a year, and that really contributed, reduce our operating cost. So in a nutshell, this whole project that will generate about rough estimate about 19% of internal rate of return is pretty good investment and will not cause any assessment increase.
No comment.
Excellent.
No comment.
Okay. Rosemary?
I just would like to remind our residents that our board elections will be coming up soon. I believe in the closing date is what, August 7th? Yes, close to that. Okay, well, it's coming up soon, so if you are interested in serving your community and having an exciting and wonderful time working on the board, a free lunch once a month, and you really get to learn a lot, though, and you can form some really good relationships, so it is a great thing. So if you are interested, please see Kim up in the executive office. The other thing that we will be doing soon after that, though, is we will be interviewing or recruiting people for our VMS board, but we'll talk about that when we get closer to that. First, we have to worry about having the election. Thank you very much.
Okay. Bunny, any director comments? John?
No comment.
Director comments? Bert?
Just want to second what Rosemary said. I think it's really important for us to have as good and as many candidates as possible. I would encourage anyone who's thinking about it to do it. It doesn't hurt, and you get great lunches once a month.
And you learn things.
Okay. Item 25, additional mutual resident comments. I see this gentleman standing, so hopefully you're the only one, so go ahead.
Marvin Rawich, 55103 Bravo. Before I make a comment, I need to ask a question of Mr. Mulder. The proposal of having charging stations for electric cars is great, but can I assume that the power to power these cars is going to be charged to the people who use it or not? Will they be metered?
The answer is yes.
Then that answers my question, and I need not make a comment. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, the meeting will access for lunch and reconvene to executive session to discuss the following matters per California Civil Code 4935. Thank you.